Welcome back, everybody, to Overdunk. This is episode 44 of this competitive Pokemon Unite podcast. My name is Zoinks, and we have been doing this series for the last 4 weeks. If you're just joining, good news. You got 4 episodes in the backlog to go check out. But tonight, I am going to be talking all about the top lane, or path, if I should, play it correctly. But we have 3 of the best top laners in the entire game right now here on the show to talk all things about the role. I'm very excited to have these guests here. A couple of returning, 1 new ones. Let's just do a quick round of introductions for everybody. Just say who you are, what team you play for, and then maybe, where people would know you from. Lutano, you're a first-time guest. Why don't you start off the intros?
I'm Lutano. I stream on Twitch. You guys probably know me. And I play for TTV. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, your name precedes you for sure. LeCoding, how about you next?
Yeah, I'm LeCoding. Stream on Twitch and make content on YouTube. I'm primarily known for I was mainly on Descendant during the USC season, and then now transition into playing with GT.
Cool. Yep, you got just picked up by GT. Very, very exciting. And then Overlord, World Champ. Your name does precede you, but why don't you do your own intro?
Yeah, so I'm Overlord. I also stream on Twitch, and I play for Team Ascendance, previously known as Team Blackhand, and most of you probably know me for being the world champion.
It's a pretty good name accolade for people to remember you by. I like that a lot. But awesome. Okay, well, today we are going to be talking about all things top lane. I'm so excited to have the 3 of you on too. Every time I have this, I have my own little fangirl moment because I've casted so many of the 3 of your games. It's kind of ridiculous. Lutano, you're a little bit infamous though in my book. I always call Lucario's Lutano by accident. Every time. And I've called Overlord the best Lutano in the game a couple of times now, and it's it's tough to redeem yourself after that. So I kind of blame you, but I'm also grateful for you for that as well, for your impressive play. But the 3 of you have played this game since very, very early on as an inception. I know a few of you have played since beta, some of you adopting it a little bit later, but the entire time I've known you, the 3 of you have mostly played that top path. Am I wrong? Have any of you played other roles to a large amount or like a competitive degree?
No, mainly.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, cool. Well, that just means I have experts. So that's fantastic. I'm excited to hear that. Well, you 3 have seen many, many metas. Technically, because of your role, that doesn't mean you've seen a ton of Pokemon until maybe somewhat recently. You definitely have played a few Pokemon, but even when we were in the days of Perma Lucario, they definitely saw variety in how that Pokemon was played and macro-wise on the gameplay on the map. But I always love asking this question at the top of this show is, what was your favorite meta to play top path in? We've definitely seen a lot. There was a slow smoke, close combat couple of days, which was exciting. But what was everybody's favorite one? LeCoding, let's start it off with you.
Yeah, I'd say my favorite one was the 113 Hoopa meta. I think that was my most successful season playing Lucario. That meta was just really fun. I mean, it was all about outplay top lane and winning the top lane. There was influence of the jungle, but knowing what to do in top lane was really important on Lucario. I think one main thing people obviously adapted to was the 4-man ganking. That was like a big thing.
Yeah.
During the last season of USC, but I think that meta was pretty fun. I kind of wish I learned like more stuff because I was just perma one trick Lucario. I'm not gonna lie, just perma one trick.
Nose to the grindstone. I don't think anybody could really blame you for that, but yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That was an exciting meta. 4-man pushes were an exciting thing for me as a caster. Super exciting. But Overlord, how about you? What was your favorite meta to play top path in?
I would probably say around season 2, like December.
Okay.
Mainly because obviously that was like the best form E-Speed ever had. It was extremely OP back then.
Yes.
But also, this is before people started level 4 ganking top on jungle and whatnot before first Vs. So it was all just 1v1.
We all grown in tune.
Yeah.
That sucks.
It was only 1v1 for like the first minute and a half, and I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, I love that. We'll talk about that in the next question. I'm very excited. But Lutano, I almost called you Lucario. See, this isn't on purpose. You did this on purpose, and I know you did. Lutano, what was your favorite meta to play top path in?
I'd say it was a tie between like the slow smoke CC Manic. So I was just
Wow.
like, I love playing pop, and then I also love playing like the triple axle Serena top meta.
Okay.
That was like a ton of fun. So those are probably my two favorites.
I miss triple axle. I really wish that I want that to become meta again. Serena is just a really exciting Pokemon. Stomp is neat or whatever, but I do like triple axle quite a bit. But okay, Overlord mentioned it. The days of the 1v1. I'm gonna call them the glory days before Toon ruined everything with level 4 ganks. We should discuss these 1v1s because it created a thing in the competitive scene that is my favorite thing in any esport. Not specifically, but just when this occurs at esports, and that's just like really competitive, gamer speak, a lot of it. And in my favorite way was when it was used in how you clear the lane. We had multiple names for the different ways of clearing the lane. We had loser clear, and then of course the other ones. Does anyone want to explain what the different clears were called and kind of how they were done?
Guess I can go over the loser clear. I wasn't really competitive. I know season 2. I wish I was, to be honest. But
Okay.
I know the loser clear consisted of you just going over the top Aldinos or the top APOMs.
Mm-hmm.
You would pretty much, every Lucario would obviously contest like the mid crab.
Right.
Mainly they're going foil, so like that's like more of a competition to kind of outplay and get that crab and then usually stack. It depends. Sometimes like people could A-press you as well, but like that consisted of just kind of skipping that and like clearing your side APOM on the top side and then going to stack that way. I know a lot of Serenas would do that, especially if you didn't know how to go against it. You kind of be like confused, so like you would kind of lose out on farm, and the Serenas would be able to take advantage of that.
Right. Right. Overlord, did you have any names for any of the other clears other than loser clear, or was there just loser clear and then the other one?
I mean, the main clears that I call were pretty much just like the 2 8-bomb, like the 4-point clear, and then like the full clear where you kill all lane 8-bombs. But it kind of like, it was a really weird back then because depending on who got the mid crab would get level 5, and who didn't get the mid crab would stay level 4 for
Right.
Oh
bees.
yeah, that was a thing.
So it was kind of like really awkward back then. But once they removed that, a lot of people, instead of just doing the 2 8-bombs in lane and skipping the last 2, people would start running triple damage items on Lucario, and they would just full clear all 8 minions and make it to the crab before it even spawns. So
See,
that
this is
kinda
why
just
I
became
have the 3 of you on here. The big brain plays of, doing the connect the dots in path that I just cannot comprehend. That is fantastic. Lutano, when you were in there, did you have a specific tech that you loved doing when you were in those 1v1 situations of the good old days, the days of old?
It was just like I just called it like a 2-4 or an 8 clear, which is like the number of 8 bombs you clear going to lane. If you're doing like the 8 clear, you're just doing 8 clear and like trying to contest the mid crab, like right before they get there. And a lot of times, just the 4 clear standard contest mid crab for 5, like it was just the standard clear.
Yeah. It really, I remember when, this was super, super early. Like, maybe this was like 2 or 3 tournaments in. All of a sudden, APOMs were being left in lane, and everyone was just mind-boggled. And then immediately, that was just a domino effect that was so many cool changes. It's so interesting with a meta that seems so solved since the start of the game for a really long time in Top Path. There was constantly innovations if you knew where to look, which was kind of cool. I mean, one Pokemon, sure, the casual and viewer does not find it very exciting. Maybe the 3 of you were pretty tired of playing one Pokemon every single time, but at least for me, just seeing the competitive innovation, I found it pretty exciting. But that was the glory days. Let's jump to a little bit now. Now, I know it's off season. There's not as many tournaments to really be limit testing these kind of things and finding out what Pokemon is truly best and what fits each role or what even is the most optimal clear right now. But let's talk about the role in general. How much of an impact do you think Top Path has on the overall game right now in Pokemon Unite? We've had metas where Top Path can dominate, and honestly, if your Top Path player does well, you just honestly win the entire game already at 4. But otherwise, we've had metas where they don't become a very impactful role. Where do you think the impact lies on the spectrum in this current metagame that we have now? Lutano, let's start with you.
This meta is a little weird. I mean, it's kind of been ever since Worlds, where people were kind of like removing pathing from like the terminology or like the role. I feel like because like when Worlds started or like a little bit before Worlds, we started having like really flexible lanes. So like people will do your first clear, get your 5, hit your power spike, and then like send someone else to the jungle or you know like a Dragonite in bottom path. But a lot of times, I think in Worlds it was mostly like a little bit of 2-1-2, some 1-1-3 in finals, I think. But yeah, it's been kind of crazy to see it develop from like really static, like there's just a Lucario on top to the Lucario goes all over the map. I know at regionals the Lucarios were literally just moving, try to force lane mismatches, you know. So for right now it's like you have your like your top pather, and I think some of the times for us we're sending like our Blissey up solo and doing like a split clear jungle. Like there's so many things you can do nowadays that it kind of feels like in a way that like top paths, bottom paths are kind of just like becoming obsolete.
Sure.
And
yeah.
it's more
As a naming culture, you know, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's more like your roles are very flexible. I feel like the top teams are kind of like flexing the best players on each Pokemon rather than the best players in each path, you know, and where the Pokemon is best at any point in the game.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to stick on you for 1 second then. If you had to rename your role, what role do you think that you're filling for your team right now? Is there a title you can give yourself, or are we literally just too much in a flexible void that you can't really pin it down?
I can't really pin it down right now. I think the meta is like a little bit too weird with the map changes. Like we had Mewtop for a bit, you know.
Wow.
And that
Pokemon can't go anywhere. You could put that Pokemon in spawn with passive XP and still carry the game at 2 minutes. So it's a little ridiculous. But okay, fair enough. A little too a bit of a medium there. It's hard to nail it down. LeCoding, how about you? Do you feel that the role of like top path being etched in stone is kind of days of old? Are you feeling yourself having to flex a lot more? I mean, Pokemon selection is one thing, but also just macro knowledge, going all over the map, stopping split pushes, starting split pushes. What are your thoughts on this new development around the top path?
I definitely agree with Lutano. It's becoming very obsolete on how top lane can be played. I kind of more define it as like an all-arounder. Say like I'm still playing a lot of all-arounders, you know. I know Mew top was a meta until they removed the Nazis. I think that was good because you could just beat everything. But I think I'm still all around the map. There's really no distinct or defined place I would be. Like sometimes I can rotate down if I really want to, influence the bottom lane. Which you know, there's been like kind of 4-man gig coming back in the meta again.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of you have to be a lot more flexible in this meta, which is why I've had to learn a lot of new Pokemon. I think it's very important to have a mon pool now. You can't be a one trick or anything. It's very important. I think drafts will be exciting for that as well. Seeing what because I really thought like this new map will be like a change for where people can really distinctly have like specific Pokemon and kind of enable them. I've mainly seen that like the Dodrio or the Gengar being like put in the meta a little bit. But I think as a whole for like a top laner, I think it's more of a flexibility right now.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'll wait for the YouTube guides from both of you to know where I'm supposed to be at what time. But Overlord, how about you? I know you haven't been playing the game as much, but you did win a tournament yesterday. So how are you feeling about the role of top path in quotations? Do you think it's been kind of cracked open? Much more experimentation to be done?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot more flexibility when it comes to what you can play top lane. I'm almost positive. I think my most played character this season is still Charizard.
Okay.
Playing Charizard top a lot of games. But I mean, when it comes to like carry potential, I feel like that really depends on like the player or like the team and how like which players they decide to play around. Like sometimes they'll decide to play on their jungle player or maybe their top lane or whatnot. And then of course there's just Serena, which I mean Serena is just the ultimate 1v9 character in the game. So
yeah.
The most clippable Pokemon easily for any tournament. A lot of highlight reel moments from that Pokemon. But okay, so the role on top path is kind of dead and gone. I'm glad we got this podcast in just before the ceremony to say goodbye forever. Interesting. So we kind of started this question off with impact of the role then, and all three of you play this similar style of role that is one of the carries on your team. And Overlord, you were mentioning a lot of it comes down to team strategy, like what players do you really want to invest in, what resources are you giving from your supports or experience, who do you want to carry the game. Do you feel like your role is in a good spot to take over games and control them right now, or do you feel like it's always better to give that resource to the jungler or give that resource to a mage style attacker that finds itself in bottom or something like that? Overlord, what do you think?
I mean, we had our time with Serena.
Okay,
but
yeah.
I think at the time right now, it's definitely not our job to carry games. I think that's more so like the Mew player or like the whatever you want to play jungle, like Glaceon, Dodrio, Gengar, whatnot.
Sure.
But I think right now you're kind of you definitely still have carry potential, but I feel like you're much better off picking something like Aegislash or something that can kind of like help your Mew or carry from getting one shot from getting dove.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, having a more of a peel role. LeCoding, I know you play a ton of Aegislash. Are you feeling that same way? That is a solid pick right now?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think there's like more distinct roles in the meta right now. Mainly I'll be like the secure or the engage for my team.
Okay.
And I think obviously I feel like the attacker role and jungle role are really strong right now. They can influence the game. You've seen Lutano on the Dodrio.
Yeah, but I mean, what role is it's tough for me to answer. But okay, interesting. Lutano, let's talk about it. It's the elephant or three-headed bird in the room. Let's talk about the Dodrio. Everyone doubted. You believed. You put up enough highlight reels that more people have now believed. And you've been playing this Pokemon a ton to an amazing level, record-breaking 15 knockouts in our tournament last night. Very, very exciting. What makes this Pokemon so good, and why have you adopted it with such passion?
I don't know. I absolutely am obsessed with the play style.
Yeah.
It's like a dive bomber kind of.
Okay.
You go in, you kill something, and you go out instantly.
Right.
And it's really hard to catch. It's mid game and not really its early game because like until it hits its 5, like it's useless.
Okay.
But once it hits its 5, it's the strongest Pokemon in the game in my opinion.
Interesting.
Yeah, you just hit 5 and you're just a menace. You terrorize everything. No one can catch you. You can rotate constantly. People don't know where you are. You can be in their jungle. You can be diving a point. You can be going for caps. You can be contesting farms. Your boosted auto is just such a lasted. Like the Pokemon is just insane, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
If you don't punish it early, it's done.
Okay. I was just about to ask you. You gave it the shout of most powerful in the game at 5. What do you think is like the counterplay to this menace of the three-headed bird?
I think you like kind of have to invade it.
Okay.
But it's like you should know that you're going to get invaded. So you kind of like it's kind of like you send someone to help clear with them, and it's not like it's like does no damage level 1. It just doesn't have very good lasted unless it's like has its passive charged up. So
Sure.
Yeah, but I think after it gets 5, it's like kind of like an Absol, except like I'd say it's like a more consistent Absol once you get 5.
That makes sense.
Like a Pursuit Absol kind of just harasses everywhere, and it's amazing backupper.
Do you like its Unite better than Absol's Unite?
Mm-hmm. I think it's more flexible of the Unite.
Okay. Yeah.
It's really hard to follow up after the Unite. Like a lot of counterplay to Absol ult is letting it ult and then like throwing a Lucario ult on top of it when it drops out, or just like stunning it out of it, So yeah, I think it's much more flexible. You can use it to escape, you can use it to go in, you one shot off your you use a tri-attack boosted ult boosted, and it pretty much like one shot most of the cast. Like it's crazy powerful.
Okay, that's pretty good for a Dodrio Gospel. I think that's a lot of good. LeCoding, have you played much of this Pokemon? Have you played against it a lot? Have you played against Lutano's Dodrio a lot? How are you feeling about this Pokemon?
I have played against Lutano. I think it's really strong. And I've played against some other Dodrio players. It's just the impact early game is significant. Because like if you have a successful gank, you can literally just go in the enemy's jungle and you kind of like can't chase that thing like unless like mute Electro Balls it or slows it, or there's like some type of jungler that can slow. It's kind of hard to deal with them throughout the whole game. I think towards like mid and late game it comes down to the player's skill and how effective they can be.
Okay.
But I think it's really impressive.
High skill ceiling, so that is a very exciting thing, a good game design in that regard. Overlord, thoughts on Dodrio? Have you played it at all, and how do you feel about it? Have you played against it? What are your thoughts on Dodrio?
I think the first time I played against Dodrio was that tournament against Lutano.
Okay, great. And how did it feel?
I do remember I had like one stream when it first came out, but I wasn't playing Tri Attack. I was only playing Drill Peck, which I think that move is kind of really bad.
Yeah, it's
so I just thought it was bad.
Okay, got it. Well, you definitely have gotten to dunk your head in some cold water when you get to expose yourself to that. So, interesting. Okay, well, Dodrio definitely fits a role on the team. I don't know if we could call it a traditional top path at all, but it definitely has made your team find quite a bit of success. So, I think it's a very, very good look when using the right hands, which is an interesting metagame that you were heading into. I like this more role ambiguous role we're heading into. When I had Inder on talking about supports, he definitely classified it as you have kind of your supporting cast and you have 2 to 3 carries, and where they are in the game is not as locked down anymore. It definitely could be rotating. Who plays what role is definitely changing quite a bit. So that isn't exciting. I think that future is interesting. I wonder if that will all change when we hit a more competitive landscape. If we do hit UCS season 2, if all the fun and experimenting will come to a halt as people just are like, nope, this is best, and we play what's best. But we'll see. It'll definitely be interesting in the near future. But I want to pivot here for a second and just talk about some more general questions, especially that like the larger player base will be noticing a bit more. I would really like your input in from the three of you. I've asked this to every role, but I want to ask it to three of you. What is one thing that players are doing wrong when they are playing the top path? What is that one thing that you wish they would stop doing? Whether it's just like a solo queue player, or even you've seen competitive teams doing this and you're like, why? Why on earth would you make this decision? LeCoding, do you have something on the mind?
Stop minting for stacks.
Okay, sure.
That's like, especially if the laners top lane, they're gonna just kill you afterwards. It really isn't worth, because it can definitely give the laners a ton of farm, especially if it's 2-1-2. The top lanes, I don't know. I think it's very simple on what you can and cannot do. But I think inting for stacks is kind of bad, because you just leave a lot of XP for the enemy. And if the enemy gets your farm, you're kind of like doomed and behind. And like a lot of the top laners aren't like strong early anymore. Like Aegis Clash, they nerf Shadow Sneak. You got you got some decent picks like Buzzwole. You can even play Buzzwole top, or like Lucario right now is like kind of like sucks, but it's kind of hard to come back in lane if you kind of like int and give the enemy XP.
Okay. That's interesting. I remember there was a solid like week or so when stacks were kind of becoming more popular. I'd never played with this item, and I guess I didn't take the time to read it, and I was so frustrated because I kept dying. I was like, I just lost my 2 stacks. And then someone was like, you actually keep those. And I was like, what? This is mind-blowing to me. So yeah, that was forever ago, way back in the day. But I was like, that is exceptional. Absolutely, I'm going to int to get these stacks. But yes, you were right. Nowadays, definitely not the play to do. Lutano, do you have something in mind that top path players need to stop doing?
I agree with what LeCoding said about int for stacks, but also when you're like solo holding a point, don't stand on the point. It's more like a general advice for like just solo players. Like you could see the bubble on the point out of vision, so you're much better off like standing in a bush or standing slightly behind your point, because you're just giving the enemy team like unnecessary information.
Sure. That you're just standing there.
Yeah, and it lets them say they know you're the solo laner top. They see you on the point that says, "Hey, I can invade jungle. I know the top laner's on the point." Like a lot of small stuff like that. You just kind of have to. You just give free information. It's not good to do.
Okay, yeah, information is definitely key. Overlord, anything that you have throughout your entire legacy of playing here that you just want top path players to stop doing?
I mean, so I think I think about top lane, it's kind of like almost like a trial and error. Like if you make a mistake in top lane, you'll get punished for it, and it feels like it's the most impactful out of any other lane. Like if you die top,
Yeah,
you'll just forever be behind the enemy top laner. But the
right.
good thing about that is that you'll learn very quickly what you can and can't do.
You'll trial by fire lane. Yeah, it
But
really does seem like it's that way. I mean, mistakes are just so punishing in top lane,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is
Yeah,
also
bro.
really exciting
I
because
agree.
the inverse is true. When you're absolutely dominating the other top laner, you are killing it. So you definitely are feeling really good if you keep outplaying the other player. So that is an exciting feast or famine kind of advice. So stop inting, stop losing to the other player. But let's flip flop to the other side of the coin then. What is one thing that if you are watching a team play and you're, watching the enemy top laner and you see them do something, what is it that checks that box in your brain that is like, that is a great top lane player? When they do that, I know that means that they are good because they know what they're doing. Overlord, do you have anything on your mind that is kind of like that?
Um, I guess not really. I think the thing that mainly stands out between like players and how like you can tell if they're really good or not, I guess just comes to like their mechanics and when it comes to last hitting minions in lane. Like if
Sure.
they're really challenging you on like last hits or if they're like making really good plays, like taking like sneakily taking your APOM while you're not noticing.
Sure.
Or like how they play around the farm, I suppose.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And you'll definitely be able to notice that a bit easier while you're playing against them. I think that is definitely a place you can sense that. Very fun one-on-one kind of themes there.
Mhm.
Lutano, how about you? Any thoughts on this question?
Kind of being flexible with where you're laning. Like Overlord said, obviously contesting farm, but when you're not contesting farm, like trying to force mismatches.
Okay.
Like saying, hey, I can be elsewhere on the map. Like I don't have to be in top. You can call someone up to cover your lane, and you can invade jungle.
Mhm.
Calling someone to cover top and then constantly contesting mid B is another example. You pretty much as the top laner, you're going to be getting like a decent amount of farm. You want to be contesting the strongest farm that you can.
Right. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a really good shout. Really good shout. LeCoding, how about you? What's one thing that when you see a top laner doing this, you know that they are a good player?
I think they kind of said good things. I'm not gonna lie. I think really being active around the map,
Sure.
having that presence around that map. I think they kind of went over a little bit, but I think the one like I'm trying to be one of the best top laners is just having an impact all around the map. You can be mid, you can be top, you can bottom. Like that's just like the flexibility of a top laner, right? And having that impact is really important for your team, and really just knowing your role. Like just you got to be able to last hit in lane. Know
Right.
when not to stack. I think that's a really important thing because people will just go to stack and like it really does like affect the lane. But
Sure.
I think playing enough games, going through trial and error, like Overlord said, that really helps to find a good top lane because they know what to do in all situations.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Dude, LeCoding is just so sick and tired of people dying for stacks. He's like, what's something bad they
Yeah.
do? They die for stacks. What's something good? When they don't die for stacks.
Yeah.
I have covered all my bases. Okay. I like that a lot. Now, with these questions, I've noticed we've talked so much about early game in like every aspect around the top alley. We talked about contesting A-bombs in lane and how these little micro gameplays can actually have that ripple effect into the late game. Objective secure is definitely a part of the role now. We've also mentioned peeling for your teammates is an important part of the role. What about in those final 2 minutes, whenever we're heading into a big team fight, trying to defend against backcaps, starting some of your own? What do you find is like your most important role to be doing on the carry Pokemon that the three of you play? Overlord, when you're heading into those final 2 minutes, what are you most thinking about? Are you calling for, I mean, obviously it's contextual, but what are you most often looking for?
So I think obviously the most important thing, like you have to know whether you're like ahead or behind in the game,
Sure.
and then based on that, you kind of make the decision of like, do I want to cover back caps? Do I want to maybe hover around the Rayquaza pit? Or like if you're losing, maybe you want to try to look for like a play to engage the enemy, like try to sneak into their jungle and try to get like a nice flank onto their DPS or carries or whatnot.
Gotcha.
But it's kind of just about making like these like split-second decisions in like
Mhm.
based on like the information you're given.
Yeah. And do you find, especially with that last example you mentioned, do you find your role is often like the fight initiator? Like it's your job to find the enemy and then get on them? Or is that something where you would more rely on a tank or your support to provide that intel and then start the fight off?
I think that's definitely like champ dependent and whatnot, but
Yeah,
like
that makes sense.
a lot of the times it's really easy to like if you get a good engage, you can kind of a lot of the top laners have like really good mobility, so you can kind of force enemy unites and then just kind of
Mm.
back away and just take that unite advantage and try to see what like your best options are after that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really big. Lutano, how about you? I mean, I know you've been in Dodrio heaven for the last little bit, so you have just been backcap central. But other than that, what do you find is like the most important thing on your role to be doing in those final 2 minutes?
I think it kind of like depends. I think,
Sure.
like Overlord said at the start of the podcast, is that we kind of like each top laner kind of like fills different roles in their team.
Mm.
Like Overlord, I think has like a more of like a hyper carry. Like I'm gonna go and I'm gonna like crush these team fights, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like they kind of play around him and give him resources, you know.
Yep.
For me, I like to like pressure backcaps and I like to be constantly off laning and forcing people to come to me, which gives us like advantages in macro on the map.
Okay.
So it's kind of like there's kind of like a few different styles of top laner that you kind of have to like balance out. And as Overlord said again, it always depends on the situation, but
Sure.
like some certain players on certain teams prefer to do like certain roles in the end game, you know.
Right.
And I think that kind of shows in their gameplay.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. LeCoding, what do you find is your role on your team in those final 2 minutes? Keep in mind, Black is in chat, so don't say the wrong thing here. But what is your what do you find is most often your role in your general team's macro strategy?
I think I'm more the engage, the more carry role on my team.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm more of the engage or follow up and like the rape it, depending on the situation. Sometimes you can back up, but it depends, on the mon.
Sure. Yeah.
But I know in Aegis Slash, there's a lot of. I think you can carry on that mon a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're able to have really great secure in the raid fight as well, along with just having a really good engage. Like that mime sword combo, you just tether it to the sword is really strong. That's something we've been doing a little bit lately. But I'm more of the engage for my team.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, Aegislash a great Pokemon at doing so. It's definitely a Pokemon that can hold its own in a team fight, but can also just do absolute work when it's got its teammates behind it. So it makes a lot of sense. All right, well, let's last question before we get into some more tier list style of podcast here. But last question I have, it's open to the floor. If we have no answers, that's fine. If we have lots of answers, that's great too. Does anybody have any hot takes on the top path role? We have had hot takes of Focus Band's a bad item. We have had Eldegoss is still cracked. We have definitely had some interesting hot takes throughout these last couple weeks. Anybody got any hot takes specifically on top path? But they could just be general Unite hot takes about the metagame and gameplay. Lutano, you got anything?
I think you can kind of play anything in top right now. It's not really like a hot take,
okay,
but
sure.
I think the role is like so wide open right now because of the way the map plays that like you can play like a ranged up there, you can play Charizard top, like I think anything's viable because there's just so much farm on the map right now that like you can kind of like do whatever you want really. As long as you're getting farm and scaling to end game, man. I don't know. Right. It's not a super hot take, but I think you can kind of do whatever.
Do what you want, F it, we ball. I love it. Overlord, how about you? Do you have any hot takes on the role?
Sarah or is good. That's about it.
Okay, no, I love that. I'm here for that. Would love to see its success, actually win some tournaments, but I am excited about that take in general. LeCoding, how about you? Any hot takes?
I don't have anything. I don't know for the top lane. I mean, I guess I'll say Lucario's getting the right hands. That's all I'll say. because
Okay.
people are kind of hating on Lucario.
So I have heard
You know.
from your mouth, Lucario sucks, and Lucario is good in the right hands tonight. So
No,
I am excited.
Lucario sucked when there was a Psychic Mime in the meta, and you would just get randomly
Yes.
Sun, and then you have there was just a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I think
mine was
Lucario's
pretty
getting the
good.
right hands. I will say that.
Yeah, okay. I will appreciate that. Well, let's make some decisions on where Pokemon lie on this roll. I'm going to bring this up on stream. I'll also share my screen in Discord so you can see what I'm talking about. But there you are. Let's make a tier list of where the top path Pokemon stand. Now, this is going to be kind of a weird list because we've said so many Pokemon could technically fill this role. I think we just got to kind of, outside Pokemon, and they're barely viable there. I think we kind of got to leave off the list just to streamline this a little bit, but we'll still try to make this work. Now, first Pokemon, I think Absol could realistically be one of those options, though. I think this is a top path viable Pokemon. Where do you think Absol sits right now? I'm going to put it A, but does anyone have any, strong opinions this Pokemon should be farther down or even up into S?
I like it.
I feel like A is good. Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
I think A is good.
Nice. Okay, Overlord, you've played a ton of Charizard this meta. Where do you think they stand right now? Natus are gone, which I feel like was a huge boon for them.
Yeah,
but,
with Natus I would have ironically said S, but I think right now it's probably like B tier. I think most of the time you're picking Charizard as like a counter pick to with the enemy comp, especially in like draft pick is where you'll see probably Charizard shine a lot more. Whereas if it was just like blind pick, you probably wouldn't really pick it blind.
Right. Yeah, that's always been like the big disclaimer whenever we do these lists is like some of these Pokemon drastically change into draft, and I think Charizard is a prime example of that. There's always going to be strong draft Pokemon. I think Slowbro is like probably one of the best Pokemon in draft. Against certain, specifically into Charizard. But okay, we'll leave it be. I mean, otherwise, LeCoding and Lutano, any strong, hate for that spot? Do you think it should be lower, or is that okay?
It's fine.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay. Now, do we put Crustle on this list, or is this one of the passes?
I don't think you can put Crustle on the list.
Love to hear that.
He's
okay,
just,
good.
Not.
Yeah, no. For the solo queue streams, definitely can hang out, but yeah, maybe not so much. Okay, let's talk about my boy Garchomp. I have a lot of games on this Pokemon. I do enjoy him quite a bit. I understand that having Rocky Helmet as a passive is not super great. Where are we putting Garchomp on this list? Is he live in D, or can I put him into the C tier?
I think it has to be B.
Garchomp and Tyranitar exist.
Yes, better Garchomp. Love that they added this Pokemon. But okay, all right, fine. Garchomp D. LeCoding, you played a decent amount of Garchomp. Where's the defense for him?
I can't. No, that one's not good.
All right, well, that's just my hopium then, charging up this Pokemon. Fair enough. All right, let's keep cruising then. I don't think we can realistically call Greninja right now to be in this role if we're trying to, pare this list down a little bit. Let's talk about Lucario, though. LeCoding would put it both in D and S if I was asking him, but what about all of us? Where does Lucario sit? B, along with Charizard? Is that a good spot for them?
I think it's fine to put it in B. It could also maybe be A. I don't know. The mid and late game for Lucario is just so bad right now. Its laning is fine. No, it's still Lucario on lane. It's just like when you enter the mid and late, like he falls off so hard.
Okay, I mean, if you say anything falls off that hard, I feel like we can't put it in A. I think it has to be B. Would you put it above Charizard?
Yeah, I would.
You put Luca above Charizard? Okay.
Yeah, because... but does that make Charizard C? Or because I don't think Luca's an A is the issue.
Yeah,
well, we'll get less YouTube views of Charizard's in C. So, Charizard stays in B. We keep on moving. The Machampion himself holds the belt, but where do they hold a spot in the tier list? LeCoding, I'm going to go to you again. You've played a lot of this Pokemon. I caught you playing Submission one time. So, where are we putting this Machamp?
I don't... Machamp's so weird, right? I don't know how to feel about Machamp. I don't know. I mean...
One of the best ults in the game if you can
like
land it, and if
Slash
they
is
don't
better.
counterplay it at all.
Yeah.
So
I know Mew will like Mew just ruin that.
yeah.
Like that ultimate.
Inder and
I
I were
don't-
talking about this Pokemon after Worlds on this podcast, and we were molding about how every single person was hyping up this pick. They're like, Machamp is taking over Scrims. Machamp's gonna be wild in Worlds, and I swear to God, not one Machamp Unite move found its spot. So I have lost all faith in this Pokemon. I want it lower.
It could be. I feel
Overlord,
like it's almost
go
in
ahead.
C tier.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I
No, I'm
I
good
think
there.
it's fine in B, but I
Sure.
just feel like it's just not as impactful as the other top laners. I don't know. This has been like this is like the weirdest like top lane. I don't know how to feel really about it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, it definitely is maybe the weirdest top laner. Lutano, how about you? Like thoughts on Machamp?
It just I agree. It feels like when you play it, it feels like it should be good.
Mm-hmm.
It just isn't.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it feels like I should be popping off with what I'm doing, you know? But it never pops, you know? So
Sure.
I mean, I'm happy to leave it and see. It's inconsistent because against stronger players, they walk away when the ult pops, or you know,
Right,
like they,
yeah.
they cleanse the ult, and the standard's like dynamic in cross chop right now with the crit bug fix, but it just doesn't do enough with that without its ult, and the ult just gets counterplayed to a better place. So I just can't justify it being like a higher T.
Okay. Overlord, do you agree? See, okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has no secure right now in this meta, and I think its ults are just less value, seeing that there's you're not gonna have those like 5v5 big team fights as much as you did last map.
Right.
So your ults are always, I think, just gonna have less value than
That makes sense.
they were previously.
One more question about Machamp, the three of you. Do you think this Pokemon goes up in a draft format, or do you think it goes even farther down in draft?
I think the only reason you would ever pick Machamp is if the enemy team picks Cinderace or Greninja.
Right, okay. And then, then you just rush them down with Machamp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'd be like a super late pick that we would see it, but okay. All right, interesting. Well, Overlord, let's stick with you. Next up, I think, is Zeraora. You said this Pokemon's S tier. I have you on record. Do you think it should be this high, or do you want it a little lower?
I think it's A personally.
Okay, above or below Absol? Where'd you put it?
I don't know. I think Goal Getter Pursuit Absol is really strong right now.
Yeah,
I think the only thing Zera's laggy, in my opinion, is back cap potential.
Okay. Yeah. Volt Switch is fun, but maybe not a huge enabler of that thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. All right. Well, I know Overlord is a huge believer. Lutano and LeCoding, do we have this Pokemon way too high, or is this a good spot for it?
It's not an A. I'm sorry to say. I'd put it, if we're such a believer, I'd put it in low B tier.
Okay.
Yeah, put it in A. I see the end game potential of Zeraora. Like its end game team fights are so powerful with ults and discharge, but not having back cap pressure is like a huge deal.
Yeah.
And I don't think its lane is like exceptional, so I don't think I can put it in A.
Okay, LeCoding, where do you want this Pokemon then?
I think B, the lower B is fine, because I think I agree with Lutano. The lane is not exceptional. I mean, I think you could make it work, especially if they have like a squishy in their comp or two. You're just blowing them up.
Okay, Overlord stock's dwindling a little bit here. Overlord, do you think it's better than Lucario? Honest to God, do you think this Pokemon could beat a Lucario?
I mean, I think they both drastically do different things. I think one reason I really like Zera right now, I guess, is just because it's just way better than 90% of the top lane characters into Mew.
Okay.
And I think Mew is like so broken right now that it can like really affect when you're playing top lane.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. We have renamed the B tier, but yeah. All right, fine. You know what, Overlord, I'm gonna believe you for now. I'm leaving Zeraora in B tier right now. Again, impressions. Okay, next one up. Does Greedent belong on this list? Any believers in the Greedent right now? Yes, but low. Yes, but deep.
I don't think he's a top laner. I think Green is like a roamer, you know? Like
Sure.
he kind of goes wherever he can get value, but I also don't think he's good at all right now. So like,
Okay.
I don't think he's good.
Okay,
Green
well,
is his
I
own
think just
role.
like for the fact that they historically played it, I think we can put it on the list, but just like in D tier is fine.
I put it above
Yeah.
Garchomp.
Really?
Yeah, above Garchomp.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
As long as
I'm dead, man. Well,
I honestly
shouldn't
would
be
probably put it above Machamp as well, is the thing.
Whoa.
No, above Machamp.
Yeah.
Oh, Lutano. Okay. Well,
it probably has more value than Machamp, actually.
what? Holy smokes!
It's played in
I don't
tourneys,
know.
isn't it? Like,
Yeah, I mean, Artree is still rocking
Yeah.
people's shit with this Pokemon. So, I mean, that is enough to put it in C tier. All right, well, it probably doesn't belong there, but it's gonna stay there for now. Serena, where do we? Is this our first S tier caliber Pokemon?
yeah, she's pretty insane.
I mean,
Serena's still really good.
Shoot.
Like,
There we go. Fix it.
I don't know.
I probably would be.
I don't know. I have two characters in mind that I think are better than Serena. Which is the only
Okay.
reason I don't think it's S.
Do you think Absol is one of those?
No, I mean,
No.
I think but we haven't gotten to them yet. But
Sure. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it. But I really feel like Serena is in a maybe the same tier as Absol. I'd say we could order them together here a little bit, but
I think they kind of like do different things. Whereas
For
Serena's
sure.
Serena's like the like team fight god, right?
yes.
She goes
Yeah.
in 1v9s, and Absol's like a back capper kind of.
Mhm.
So like they're kind of like different roles in the top lane.
Sure, but like if we're
Um,
measuring their impact on the scales of tier lists, do they both end
Yeah.
up in A?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, A is like really, really strong. Like,
Oh yeah, it's passive.
everyone
by a
thinks
lot.
Absol's strong, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine to put it there.
Okay.
I agree.
Cool. All right. Okay. Wonderful. That was easy enough. What about Lutano? You play this Pokemon a lot. Where does this tanky tree lie? Below Garchomp, right?
He's honestly god awful right now.
Yeah.
Unless it's in draft.
Okay.
In draft where you're against like 5 melees, he's like a really, really strong pick.
Mhm.
But with Mew existing in the game,
Yeah. No.
and like Glaceon being priority, like he's literally like worst matchup in the game. I'm pretty sure into Mew and we're into Glaceon. Like he actually can't do a single thing against those Pokemon. So
No.
yeah, I put him.
So I think D tier is fine for that Pokemon.
Yeah, he's bad right now.
Okay. I'm going to leave Dragonite off this list. I know people were messing around with it. Any qualms to that, the three of you?
I was trying that.
Yeah, I
was actually
know.
trying the Dragonite.
I think outrage seems fun. I don't know.
It is fun. I will give you that. It's a good time. But okay, let's just move on to Aegislash. Is this one of our first S tier Pokemon? It can really do it all.
Yes.
Yes, I
100%,
bro.
I like it. Okay, I will talk about it in my, less informed opinions here. Also, if there's a draft, I think this Pokemon becomes S plus. By the way, I think this Pokemon is so fantastic in terms of flexibility of where you want to put it. Like it can just fill every single role, which is amazing in a draft pick because that's just your first selection. You get to see what the enemy team does. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Aegislash. How about you? Why do you think this Pokemon belongs in the S tier, the first one on our list so far?
Does everything. I mean,
Yeah.
no, just not really. Doesn't really have bad matchups either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Is it also one of our only like tank buster Pokemon? I guess Sylveon sort of. But like it does percentage HP damage. Not many other Pokemon actually do that in the game so far as I'm aware. So, I mean, it also fills a niche that no other Pokemon really fills. So it's exceptional at that as well. LeCoding, thoughts on Aegislash? I know you play this Pokemon a ton.
Yeah, I think Aegislash just does it all. It's secure, team fight, engage. I guess I think you can catch it if you back out. It's just like the one thing, but I mean, it does everything.
Okay. Cool.
I think securing is it's very underrated. The objectives are really important, I think, in the meta right now. I think having that secure is really strong. And just if you can manage your cooldowns on Aegislash, it can really win you team fights as well.
Okay. Yeah, I like that a lot. Lutano, any parting thoughts to the Aegislash and why it belongs in S tier?
1v9, man.
Yep.
Does everything.
1v9. Yeah.
Best secure in the game, best objective doing in the game, like right now, like it's crazy.
Yep, it's busted. Love it. All right, let's move on to the next one. Is Azumarill another S tier Pokemon right now?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's crazy good right now. This Pokemon is absurd. Lutano, do you think S tier is okay, or do you think it needs to drop to A?
I think this.
Yeah.
I think Water Pulse Aqua is just so busted right now. It's so much damage. Its early game trend is like crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. I think Azumarill's like only threat like is if it gets outscaled, it could be like a threat. Like if it loses top that hard, I feel like it's a pretty big, liability. But that's sort of like on any Pokemon. So I don't know. That is just what I've seen happen. Is if an Azumarill is just 2 levels behind their counterpart, then it's just over for that Pokemon. But that doesn't happen very often because of how powerful this Pokemon is. Level 4 evolution was a wild buff to this Mon. Overlord, any thoughts on Azumarill?
I mean, I also think something that makes it really strong is Whirlpool is also a very good move. And into the matchups, there's some matchups that are like really bad in Aqua Tail. Like for example, like Aegislash will always be on top of you. You're never gonna hit that like sweet spot of Aqua Tail. But if you're versing like counter picks or counter matchups, you can just go Whirlpool. And the Whirlpool just completely covers those options. Like Whirlpool beats Aegislash, it beats Serena, it beats all these characters that like you would try to counter pick for Azumarill, I think.
Okay, good shot. It's got flexible options too, which I don't think you can say for a lot of Pokemon on this list, honestly. I mean, top path options are often kind of locked in place, but okay, very, very cool. Lutano, any last words on Azumarill?
No, I think it's pretty set in stone.
Cool.
Pretty crazy Pokemon.
Let's jump to one of my other favorites, Buzzwole. Can I put this in B, or does it need to be lower?
I think in draft pick it's like D, but without draft pick I think it's like probably, I mean, B might be fine.
Yeah.
I haven't really played against like buffed Buzzwole yet with like the Leech Life Smackdown combo, but
I still don't think that's the play with this Pokemon anyways. Like I think the baseline stat increases were enough to make Superpower Lunge still the play. But yeah.
I've been seeing it a decent amount as like a counter to heavy dive, where with the Smackdown superpower. So like you don't actually like a big weakness of that moveset was you can't actually get on them. But if they're running into you or if you're standing in a bush, you literally 100-0 people with Smackdown. So it's kind of crazy, Mon. It feels like the early game is just so weak.
Yeah. The amount of bushes on this map I feel like are an actual buff to this Pokemon. Like it's a strong play. But I cut you off, Lutano. What were you saying?
I feel like its early game is just really, really weak.
Oh, it's atrocious.
It's major. I feel like it's so bad. It's like hard to, and if you're really behind on it, also like it feels bad, So it feels like it's hard to get out of that early game. So it's like I think it's fine to put it in bottom B, maybe like top of C, but
yeah. Okay. I was kind of thinking it might belong in the C category. Like it might be at that level. I don't know if it's on the same level as a Charizard or Lucario, right? Like I think I would way rather one of those two picks than a Buzzwole. But LeCoding, you've played a bunch. Thoughts on Buzzwole?
I have to agree. It's utility just not as useful on the map, and it's more of a 1v1 king, right? You can just win any like most 1v1s, but I think against smarter players, they're not gonna let you like get away with the things Buzzwole's supposed to do. And I think Buzzwole just isn't that impactful. So I do think it's like it could be C, bottom of B.
Okay, awesome.
You see it.
Okay, bottom of B, maybe top of C. All right, I'm gonna for my own feelings. It's going up there. Lutano, Black wants to know about Dragonite top.
I enjoyed it for a while, but ever since the Natsu change, it feels like it's much worse.
Feels bad.
Being able to like last at everything like Dragon Breath was like really nice, but now you can't, so it just it doesn't feel as strong anymore.
Unfortunate. All right, T-Tar. Good Garchomp, maybe. Where do we want this Pokemon? I feel like it's really good in jungle. Putting it in top path seems like a liability a lot of the time, but it can work. Is it A? Is it good enough to be A, or does it need to go into the B tier?
I feel like it needs there needs to be like a counter pick tier on this tier list. And then T-Tar is in the counter pick tier, you know, where in draft, where if they have too many melees and a sword, and you pick the T-Tar, like the Pokemon feels like a monster. But in like a blind pick situation, T-Tar feels like awful, you know. So I don't know. I don't know about everyone else, but that's how it feels to me.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, LeCoding, where would you put it then?
I put it in like bottom of C because because I think unless you're kind of playing into the enemy team, like it just gets kited. Like Glaceon, everything can just kind of like ignore the T-Tar, right?
You'd rather have a Greedent than a Tyranitar in top?
I think so. Because secure, you can still make impact with belly flop, right? And then you're backtapping like pretty much the whole game.
Okay.
I think blindly I don't think it's that good, but I think in an actual draft situation or like the enemy team what they're gonna play, it's good.
It is wild how much this Pokemon stomps on Aegislash. Like it just destroys that pick. But okay, interesting. So C tier for now. Overlord, is C way too low for this Pokemon?
I mean, I think that's probably a fine placement for it.
Oh my gosh! All right, we'll keep moving on then.
You love your melee songs.
But if it's in a draft and you're picking it on the 4-5, it's like almost S tier, you know? Like...
Yeah. Okay, here's what we're gonna. Oh wait, no, that stays there. Oh crap! What did I do? Oh no, I ruined everything. Okay, add row below. Okay, but in draft. This is sick.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, great. That's where I'm putting it for now. Wonderful. Okay, obviously Mew is S tier, but I'm not going to put it on the list. Pokemon can go anywhere. Does Dodrio count on this list? I know it's so roamy. It's going to be like a Greedent or something like that. But Lutano, would you put Dodrio on this list? I'm asking you from the source, you know?
If something takes the first rotation and it's just on the map, is it a top laner? I would say no. It's definitely kind of in its own role of like it does the first jungle rotation and then it's just on the enemy's side of the map for the entire game.
Okay.
So I can't say it's a top laner. It's kind of like does its own thing. But it can't like half top, you know, and clear APOMs. Like it just can't do that. So I wouldn't put it on the list. No.
Okay, sounds good. Scizor, I'm assuming we're gonna leave off this list. That feels just like a jungle pick to me right now. If you're gonna play it, like you play Scyther jungle, maybe after tonight's buffs something changes, maybe, but probably just stays down there. Any thought? Can you fit Scyther in top lane somehow?
Can't fit Scyther in anywhere, man.
Yeah, it's a good call.
It's really bad.
It's a good word. I like that. Overlord, any thoughts on Scizor Scyther?
I think Scyther is maybe playable in 2-1-2, but that's a very far stretch, I think.
Okay. Do you think in draft it's technically sick? No, I'm leaving it up. Okay, sounds good. Well, I think that is good enough to conclude our top lane tier list here. I think it's pretty solid. H/Lane Zoomeril rounding up that S tier. Everything else makes a lot of sense to me here. So let me bring the Discord back up on the stream. There we are. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much to the three of you for joining me tonight and breaking down all things top lane. Has been super fun, but I want to give each of you a chance to quickly sell out, shout out, whatever you want to do. The floor is yours to plug whatever you would like. Where can people find you and all that kind of stuff? Lutano, go ahead first.
Twitch TV/Lutano and also on YouTube, also Lutano. Started that up recently, so it's pretty cool. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Twitch.tv/Lucari. I mean Lutano. Yes, go there and find them there. LeCoding, how about you?
You can find me on YouTube and Twitch at LeCoding. I said at 1K followers I would do a face reveal on Twitch. So
okay,
we're slowly reaching that mark. And I'm underscore LeCoding on Twitter as well.
Okay, awesome. Go follow the man and get that face reveal, everybody. Overlord, how about you?
Yeah, I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Overlord98TV, and also on Twitter, Overlord98TV.
Okay, awesome. Go follow the World Champ as well if you're not already. Thank you to the three of you. As far as me, you can find me at ZoinksCast, and everything Unite Mics you can find at Unite Mics on Twitter. This podcast episode will be uploaded to YouTube, youtube.com/Unite Mics, and of course, it'll also be put into the RSS feeds on iTunes, Google Play, everywhere. If you're already listening on one of those platforms, please leave us a 5-star review. It just helps more people find the competitive scene, and then we have more, fans, excitement, viewership, all that kind of stuff. Let more people find competitive Pokemon Unite, and you could do that by leaving a review. So that'd be awesome. Other than that, I think that's going to be it. Concludes our 5-episode series on each role in Pokemon Unite, even though that landscape is ever-changing. It's been very exciting. We'll have more Overdunk for you very soon. I can't wait to get back behind the mic here. But I have been Zoinks. They have been 3 of the best top laners in the entire world, and we will see you all next time. Goodbye. Gotta catch 'em all.